Beloveds, welcome to First Tuesday of the Month Chapel. It is so good to be together on purpose for all of you and all of our seen and unseen spirits. We have joined energies with that which is good, right, and just to create this ritual. Friday, November 11th is Veterans Day. As a veteran, I salute all veterans and their families for their service. Thank you. We pause to remember those who died in service to their country and those who were murdered from gun violence and hatred. Let us pause. Beloveds, November gives us an opportunity to go within. Welcome to a time to slow down and to touch into our bodies. Welcome to a time to remember, to dream, to dare, to play, to listen, and to lean into mystery. Wherever you are, welcome to this time and purpose. Your November Chapel team is thrilled that we are all here together. I invite Cardona Yepes to join me for our land acknowledgement. Stark King School for the Ministry, as part of its mission and vision to educate spiritual leaders, to counter oppressions, we acknowledge that the land we are meeting on today is the original homeland of the Ohlone people. This, their land, was stolen from its original inhabitants. We thank the ancient people of this land and their descendants for their resilience in the face of generations of colonial oppressions. Acknowledging wrongdoing is one right action. What more might we do to strengthen our commitments and make our intentions clear? Cardona will offer you another option that is beyond our wrongdoing. Cardona.
The East Bay is traditional Lishan Ohlone land, and the Ohlone people are still here fighting for their ancestral land. Sogorea Te Land Trust is an urban, Indigenous women-led land trust that facilitates the return of Indigenous land to Indigenous people throughout the Shumi land tax, through the Shumi land tax. Shumi means a gift in Chochenyo Ohlone, and the Shumi land tax is a voluntary annual tax for non-native residents who wish to recognize the benefits received from living on stolen land and contribute to the rematriation of that land back to its original people. The Shumi land tax is an invitation to support the vital work of the Sogorea Te Land Trust and a small step toward acknowledging the history of genocide on this land and contributing to its healing. All contributions to the Sogorea Te Land Trust are tax deductible and directly support their work to restore the people to their rightful place in sacred relationship with their ancestral land, build urban gardens, community centers, and ceremonial spaces, and heal legacies of colonization and genocide so that current and future generations of indigenous people in the Bay Area can thrive. For more information, please visit Sogorea Te Land Trust. The link is in the chat. Thank you.
Before we light our chalice, I invite Helen Casera to provide us with some opening music, and Helen will invite Erica.
Thank you all. I'm so glad y'all are here today. This opening music is a mashup. It's 3 different songs all together layered. So I'm going to put lyrics to all 3 in the chat, and I invite you to sing along on mute to the one that resonates the most to you. And I believe Matthew's going to be sharing that for us.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. There is a love holding
Whoever you
us.
are,
There is a love
wanderer,
holding all that
worshiper,
we
lover
love.
of leaving.
There is a
Ours is no
love
caravan
holding
of
all.
despair.
We
Come
rest
yet
in
again,
this love.
come.
There is a
Come,
love
come,
holding
whoever you
us.
are,
There is a
wanderer,
love holding all that
worshiper,
we
lover
love.
of leaving.
There
Ours
is a
is no
love
caravan of
holding all.
despair.
We
Come yet
rest
again,
in
come.
this love. There is a
Come, come,
love
whoever you
holding
are,
us. There is a
wanderer,
love holding
worshiper,
all that
lover of
we love.
leaving. Ours
There
is
is a
no caravan
love
of despair.
holding all.
Come
We
yet again,
rest in
come.
this love.
Come,
There is a
come,
love
whoever you are,
holding us.
wanderer,
There is a
worshiper,
love
broken
holding all
your
that we
vows,
love.
ours is no
There is a
caravan
love
of you've broken
holding
your
on.
vows
We
yet again,
rest in this love.
come, yet again,
There is a
come, whoever
love
you are, broken your
holding
vows,
on.
vows,
There is a
lover of
love
leaving,
holding all
ours
that
is no
we love.
caravan of
There is a
despair.
love
Come, you've broken your
holding
vows
on.
1,000
We
times.
rest
Come
in
yet
this
again,
love.
whoever you are. Though
We
you've broken your
rest
vows
in this
1,000
love.
times, though you've broken ours your is no caravan of despair. Though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, come yet again, come.
Thank you, beloveds, for sharing that with me. And I invite Erica to start with our candle lighting.
This chalice is one public symbol of Unitarian Universalism's faith path that some of us share. Please join me in saying the Star King chalice lighting words. The words are in the chat. With the kindling of this flame, we affirm our commitment to accept life's gifts with grace and gratitude, and to use them to bless the world with the spirit of love. I now invite Jeanette and Shannon to light the red and white candle.
The red and the white candles are a tradition created to accompany the chalice lighting by our Emerita President, Rebecca Parker. The white candle symbolizes violence, suffering, and death, and serves as a reminder that we gather in a time of war.
The red candle symbolizes the abiding reality of love and the shared work to restore the human community and the earth to wholeness and harmony. And now I invite you to sing a song with me called Listen. It's in 2 parts. I'll sing the first part and then have you join in. I'll sing the second part and then you can join in. And Matthew, if you could please post the words in the chat. And if you will keep yourselves on mute, then we can all sing together. Listen, 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 listen. Join with me. Listen, 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 listen. Part 2. Lay yourself down in the rocks now. Let your body down in the river. Listen for the drumming on the other side. Lose yourself in the meantime. Lay yourself down in the rocks now. Let your body down in the river. Listen for the drumming on the other side. Lose yourself in the meantime. Lay yourself down in the rocks now. Let your body down in the river. Listen for the drumming on the other side. Lose yourself in the meantime. Listen, 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 listen. And now I invite you to be cared for and simply to listen. As I sing, I want you to prepare yourself for the ritual stew that we are making together later. Listen, 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 listen. Lay yourself down in the rocks now. Let your body down in the river. Listen for the drumming on the other side. Lose yourself in the meantime. Let yourself down in the rocks now. Let your body down in the river. Listen for the drumming on the other side. Lose yourself in the meantime. Listen, 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 listen.
Thank you for that, Shannon. Beautiful. Let's take a few minutes now for to introduce our topics for today and for a little bit of prayer and meditation. And as we open to this sacred time, I'm going to ask us to consider two different takes on the word purpose. One that holds an uplifting and a regenerative energy, and another that can weigh us down or even feel like a burden. Often in dominant culture, these two meanings are conflated, but I encourage us here to consciously work to tease them apart. While at Star King, many of us are already working from or toward this first meaning of purpose, our core sustaining why. Why are we here? Why do we do what we do? What makes it possible for us to take on the seemingly impossible? And we'll be exploring this dimension more throughout the service today. Now, though, I'll invite us to consider collectively disrupting a second, very different, but common meaning. A demand, really, the idea that we somehow need to justify our presence on the planet, our participation in life with a purpose, that we need a named, approved reason just to be. I offer instead the notion that our very presence is our purpose incarnate. And this can be the starting place. The world's scientists have peered so deeply into the vast reaches of space that it almost defies imagination. And guess what? So far as we've seen, we are the only show in town where life blooms in this riot of richness and variety. Now, I am sure in myself that there is life in other worlds and other dimensions, but we've seen a very, very, very long way, and we haven't found anything like this. This tiny blue planet, perfectly heated by the sun, took about 5 billion years to form. And then over another 4 billion years, it took millions upon millions of very specific events to occur in very specific ways for life to unfold. And for each one of us here, everybody at the service today, at least 10,000 unique ancestors had to find each other and live their lives in just such a way for the exact and perfect, nearly impossible miracle of you to arrive just as you are. I call now for a blessing from the heart of that mystery of life itself to rain down on us gently and sweetly, to rain down on everyone whose lives we touch and everyone whose lives we haven't yet touched, and everyone whose lives we will never touch. Please grant us eyes to see the miracle of our very existence exactly as we are in this moment. And into this sacred space of miracles, I'll invite us now to share any particular joys or concerns that we might be carrying with us today. Please feel free to offer these up privately into your own quiet space of prayer or contemplation, or to send a private message to Pastor Jacqueline if it's something that you would like some confidential pastoral care for, or to write them up and post them right here in the chat if it's something you feel comfortable sharing with all of us gathered here. And know that Pastor Jacqueline will respond to you within 48 hours. So as we write or consider our joys, our celebrations, our sorrows, let us now take about a minute to hold a sacred silence for all that's shared and unshared in this space. I call forth the blessing of the miracle of life on everything that was spoken and unspoken here. Thank you for your sacred presence and your sacred witnessing.
Good morning. My name is Cardona. I'm an alcoholic. I'm an addict. I'm a person in recovery. In the life of every recovering addict, there's a point, a bottom, a turning point, a foundational reorientation of sorts, whatever it is you want to call it. But there is a point when we finally say, okay, I'm done. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's enough. I'm done. I suppose you could say it's that point when we finally see, even if it's only for a fleeting moment, the forest for the trees. Like, wow. I remember when and what mine was. It was on February 8th, 2017, when I drove my then 17-year-old daughter to a local mental health treatment center. She'd been crying all day in a room, and after many, many hours of nonstop crying, I packed up my car and I drove her over there. The nutshell version is that they separated us. She was being seen by a clinician. I was being interviewed, and a couple of hours later, a doctor waltzes in. He says, signing these forms. I asked him what for, and he says, well, we're going to hang on to her. What? Totally, like, what? He said, what? We need to put her on a watch. You know, she tried to commit suicide. Just broadsided. She, what? And he said, well, didn't you see the ring of bruises around her neck? And well, the fact was I hadn't, not at all. Can you imagine? Needless to say, they held on to her for about a week or so. And that was my turning point, because every single day that she was gone, I woke up. And for the first time in decades, I saw the forest for the trees, along with the flowers and the bees and a general lack of anything nutritious in our refrigerator. You see, I couldn't see them before because addiction is being wholly devoted to one's pain. And being wholly devoted to my pain rendered me incapable of seeing others, much less their pain, right? Everything I was and everything I did was oriented to stop my pain. And over time, blotting it out by whatever means necessary became my purpose. My purpose, that was my purpose. Can you imagine? It was not joyful and it was not fun. And yet it was my purpose. Sounds a little crazy, right? But then again, addiction is not about the pleasurable effects of substances that addicts put into their bodies. It's about the addict's inability to connect in healthy ways with other human beings. It's not a substance disorder, it's a social disorder. The opposite of addiction is connection, human connection. Where connection could be defined as loving people, purpose could be defined as loving what you do. And when we put them together, human connection and purpose give us the sense that we are not only somehow connected with humanity in the universe, they also give us the understanding that we have been put on this earth for a reason. Very much like how my decision to return to school and become a chaplain has given me a sense of purpose. I'm here for a reason. I have a purpose that informs my decisions and gives my life meaning. And the sense of connectedness that accompanies that purpose, that human connectedness, it feeds me and it makes me whole. I am no longer a slave to my instinct because I am wholly devoted to my purpose. Having a clear sense of purpose in life and a belief that all of us here today are connected to a larger connected to a larger meaning, both of these things give me strength. and they should actually give us all strength. They allow us to persevere and find courage in trying circumstances. They allow us to lead with kindness and love, even when it's not reciprocated. They allow us to continue on in hope and optimism, even when we encounter difficult circumstances. And lastly, connection and purpose allow us to live at peace with unresolved issues, because you gotta know, there's always gonna be unresolved issues. Progress, but not perfection. At the end of the day, we are all here, right now, in this sliver of time and space for an unknown period of time. And during our time here, we will do things. Some of those things will be important, and well, some of those things will be unimportant. But what we need to remember is that it's the important things that give our lives meaning and purpose. The important things, the unimportant things just kill time. At the end of the day, there are only two people that you will ever need to impress in how you've chosen. And they're not your boss, it's not your spouse or your kids or your instructors or your advisors, right? No, the only two people that you need to impress are your 8-year-old self and your 80-year-old self. And if you can do this, you will likely impress, inspire, and give purpose and meaning to a great many others along the way. And so it is.
Thank you so much, Cardona, for that beautiful reflection. And now I offer these wise and beautiful words from Matthew Taylor, beloved seminarian. May their memory be a blessing. This is from their poem entitled Small. Do not play small. This world was made for you. The creator of the sun, moon, stars, molded you from all that great star stuff. You are divine. You are grace. You are a blessing to the world. Do not play small. Your words and work are needed in this world. You were molded from the eternal spark of life. You are love. You are grace. You are divine. You are a blessing to the world. Do not play small.
Welcome to my kitchen. Before I guide us in this ritual recipe, I extend this invitation to you all to take 5 deep grounding breaths together that we can share with one another, the trees, and the earth. Today, we will be preparing a purposeful stew. In this autumn season, when the air turns chilly, it is a good time for some warm and comforting foods. And also at this time of the year, it's time to take stock and to renew ourselves to our purpose at this turning of the year. Autumn is also a time to hollow ourselves out and to remove some of the excess that comes along with the hunger of striving for status, so that we may receive and be grateful for how much life has given us. I invite you to notice what boils to the surface of your spirit as I read this definition. Purposeful. 1, having a purpose, such as A, meaningful, B, intentional. 2, full of determination. But what or which purpose does this dictionary definition refer to? For there are many different purposes to contemplate. We've got our higher purpose, to align with love and the truth of who you are moment to moment. Then there's also a unique purpose. That is to do what you love with the unique gifts that only you possess. Then there's also life purpose. Doing things that bring you joy and flow states, your motivating goals and the direction of your true north, like breadcrumbs sprinkled along the path from your higher self, or as Jeanette referred to, your why. But let me emphasize this. Your soul does not need to accomplish anything or to look a certain way to be worthy. For you are a divine spark of creation. Maybe you desire to be a healer, a parent, a minister, or maybe you want to paint or dance, or teach, or sculpt, or maybe you want to transform this world. So let's cook. Now we are going to bring all of our ingredients together in this purposeful stew from this collective group into one stew. What will your contribution be? Please feel free to unmute and speak your ingredient into the autumn air and into the pot. Or you may type it into the chat and they will be read aloud by the spirit of the voice of the stock pot keeper. What you got to add? I am going to add 1 pound and 3/4 cup of authenticity and humor into the pot. What you got to add?
I'll throw in a quart of never, ever giving up.
Quart of never giving up.
A stick of warmth.
Stick of warmth in the pot.
A cup of hope.
Cup of hope, yes. It's gonna taste delicious.
A bowl of
cup of
trusting things.
optimism. A half gallon of optimism.
Half gallon of optimism.
A bowl of trusting things will unfold with blessing beyond what I can currently perceive.
Yes, all of those words in the pot. Stock pot keeper, do you have any words to throw in?
I do. We're also going to add strength and sparkle for more people to practice mindfulness and compassion,
Yes.
playfulness,
Yes.
a half cup of self-love, freedom from anxiety, 8 cups of compassion, an entire bucket full of joy,
Smells so good.
enough of a practice of hope to suit the individual's taste, 2 cups of space, abundance, 3/4 pound curiosity, and raw, unrefined love.
Oh, that is a beautiful mix. If you all could see what was taking place in this pot, it is true alchemy. So imagine tasting this warm, hearty, and hearty purposeful stew that we have all made here today. May your belly and your heart be filled with your divine purpose as you continue on your path through the changes of the seasons. I honor your contribution, and I thank you for cooking with me today. With gratitude and grace, I say goodbye. Thank you.
Hello again, beloveds. I just want to hold space for just a minute for that beautiful gift that Erica just shared with us. That was just so beautiful, and I'm absolutely tickled. I have some questions for you today throughout my time speaking, and I encourage you to respond in the chat. I really do want to hear your responses. The idea of purpose makes me automatically think of the question, what's the point? This is a question I've asked myself many times before. I've asked it in frustration, in amusement, in bewilderment. I've asked, what's the point, in absolute overwhelm, in desperation, and in depression. I so deeply appreciate Cardona's brave and vulnerable sharing about her daughter. I know so many of us have felt that way before. So what's the point? What's the purpose of all this, of anything? If you ask that question to a Christian, they may say to be like Jesus or to glorify God. If you ask a Unitarian Universalist, they might say, I don't know, what do you think? Let's have a cup of coffee about it. Every tradition, every type of person will probably have a slightly different answer if you ask them, what's the point? And we have to acknowledge that there is privilege in having an answer to that question that is more than the point is just to survive. As a religious educator, when I want to learn the answers or get some direction on the answers to life's most profound questions, like these ones, I like to ask a child. I most often ask my own child, my 6-year-old son, Henry, and what does a 6-year-old know about purpose? I would wager 6-year-olds know more than most adults. Children are our wisest fellow travelers, and we would all do well to be more like them. And I invite you to do that now. Take a moment to close your eyes, sink deeply into your body, and remember how it feels to be 6 years old. For just a moment, let the adult stuff slip away. Release the deadlines, the expectations, the long to-do list, the pressure. Imagine you are 6 years old. You have a trusted adult who is in charge of your care and safety. This might be your parent or caregiver, or if, like me, you have a complicated relationship with those people, maybe you can imagine a beloved teacher or mentor holding that space, making sure you are cared for and safe. There is no to-do list. There are no demands on your being. Not even email, not even chores. You are held and you are free. Without that burden of ensuring your own survival and your own safety, without the expectation or demand of productivity, what would you do? What would be your purpose? And I invite you all to share, if you feel so moved, in the chat. Does a specific word or phrase come to mind when you think, what would be your purpose if I had no limitations? When I asked my child this question, he said his purpose is to play. And wow, that'll preach, right? What a perfect summary of the human condition. Given the opportunity, the freedom, most of us will play. We will play with music. We will play with art, with nature, with ritual. We will play alone with our peers together. We will play with ideas, with options, with dreams. Given the opportunity to just be, we will just be, and we will do it playfully and joyfully. I see a message in the chat. Your purpose would be to make things and to dance. Yes, I love it. We live in a culture that tells us constantly that our purpose is productivity, deliverables, results. Those don't sound very playful or joyful to me. I'm seeing some things come up in the chat. Purpose is to sing my lungs out, to dance right and sing, experiment with my surroundings, ride horses, make music with others, write, dance. Yes, these are the playthings of the human condition. We are not meant to work and die. We live in a culture that tells us what matters is the destination, the end result, the product. What our culture does not tell us is that when our only focus is on the destination, the journey tends to be lonely and painful. I see this purpose in the chat, to imagine. Yes. The purpose of life is to live, and to live on purpose. We exist within this exhausting system that seeks to create distance between us and our higher selves by disempowering and overworking us. I won't pretend that living life on purpose under these conditions is something that is easily accessible to most of us. Often, we have to settle for the little moments and the tiny victories. And when we have to settle, we may be tempted to think, what is the point? Surely this can't be all. May I suggest that when those thoughts creep in, it is time to play. It is time to claim victory for ourselves in simply being, in embodying radical joy and delighting in that which makes our souls sing. May we choose to play, not to forget our problems, not to make ourselves ready for more work, not to improve our productivity, but to send the message loud and clear that our play is holy. Our joy is sacred, our rest is ritual, and simply by being, we are enough, always and no matter what. I'd like to ask you one more time, in your adult self, calling in the wisdom of your inner 6-year-old, what's the point? What's your purpose? How can you claim it for yourself, if only in a tiny way? Feel free to share if you feel so moved. May we remember that simply being is so much of the point. And may we remember to lean into playfulness and to one another when we are tempted to forget. Blessed be. And Shannon has some beautiful music for us up next.
Thank you so much, Helen. I'm loving thinking about my inner child right now. And I'd like you to join me in singing The River is Flowing. The river is flowing, flowing and growing. The river is flowing back to the sea. Mother Earth, carry me, your child I will always be. Mother Earth, carry me back to the sea. The river is flowing, flowing and growing. The river is flowing back to the sea. Mother Earth, carry me, your child I will always be. Mother Earth, carry me back to the sea. The river is flowing, flowing and growing. The river is flowing back to the sea. Mother Earth, carry me, your child I will always be. Mother Earth, carry me back to the sea.
Inside this sacred inspiration of reflections on the guideposts of our inner 8-year-old and 80-year-old, of the nourishment of that collective purposeful stew, of the playful purposes carried by our inner child, I invite us once again to acknowledge our own holy nature, the miracle of each one of us born, as Alan Watts poetically reframes it, not into this world, but out of it, like leaves from a tree. Every individual is an expression of the whole realm of nature, a unique action of the total universe.
We send our flames with purpose.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle around to tend these fires.
We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth.
It's time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well.
And it is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love.
In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires.
We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth.
And it is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well.
It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love.
In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love.
In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love.
In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love.
Beloveds, our time together for our November chapel has come to an end. Thank you for being here, for sharing yourselves with us here in this space. You're invited to stay for fellowship. If you feel so moved, this Zoom room will be open till 12, which is not very long now, but maybe it'll stay open a little longer. And as we part ways, I pray you remember there is a great love holding us in our struggles and our strivings. May we lean into that love as we bless the world with our glorious purpose. Go in peace and in power. Blessed be.
Thank you, everyone.